Mike Huckabee defended a decision from Paraguay wherein a 10-year-old girl who was a victim of rape was denied an abortion. Now, he actually thought that this was a good idea to deny her an abortion, so I'm going to let him explain his logic, or lack thereof, and then I'll break it down afterwards.
Ask about a story because it's really getting a lot of attention from our readers on CNN.com. A 10-year-old girl was raped by her stepfather in Paraguay, and the government wouldn't allow her to have an abortion because that's the policy there. The girl, who's now just 11, had the baby. If you're president and you have your druthers, that would be the policy here. Some of your Republican opponents say it's too extreme. What do you say?
I think what we have to do, Dana, is remember that creating one problem that is horrible. I mean, let nobody be misled. A 10-year-old girl being raped is horrible. But does it solve a problem by taking the life of an innocent child? And that's really the issue. I know people. I worked for a man for several years, James Robinson, who was the result of a rape. His mother went to 3 doctors in Houston, Texas in 1943, begged doctors to abort the baby. None of them would do it. They all refused. Today, his organization feeds, cares for, living capacity for water to hundreds of thousands of people across the world. That would never have happened, Dana. So when I think about one horror, I also think about the possibilities that exist, and I just don't want to think that somehow we discount a human life.
And that's understandable, but you know, the flip side is looking in the eyes of a 10-year-old girl saying, you know, you had this horrible thing happen to you and you're going to have to carry it out for the next 9 months. I mean, that's also not easy.
No, it isn't easy, and I wouldn't even pretend that it's anything other than a terrible tragedy. But let's not compound the tragedy by taking yet another life. And I always think we sometimes miss the fact that when an abortion happens, there are 2 victims. One is the child. The other is that birth mother, who often will go through extraordinary guilt years later when she begins to think through what happened with the baby, with her. And again, there are no easy answers here. And I realize there are some people that will be very different in their view of this than me, and I respect that. I don't want to get into a shouting match with people who think I'm wrong. I respect that. But I just come down on the side that life is precious. Every life has worth and value. I don't think we discount the intrinsic worth of any human being. And I don't know where else to go with it, but just to be consistent and say, if life matters, and that's a person, then every life matters.
Governor.
He says, when I think of one horror, I also want to think about the possibilities that exist. All right, then, so let's play this game. What if that little girl who they're forcing to have this baby at 10 years old, what if she dies from this, and then her baby goes on to become an abortion doctor and kills hundreds of babies, as you would refer to it as murder? What if that happens? See, you can't predict the future, so you are stupid for concocting these type of hypotheticals, because it's insane. The possibilities are infinite. So what we need to do is focus on the people who are alive and can feel pain right now and whose lives are in danger. A 10-year-old girl should not be having a baby. So he also says that he wants to be consistent and maintain that if life matters, well, that's a person, then every life matters. So the baby's life matters too, right? Okay, so where's your outrage when men masturbate? I want to know, why aren't you mad whenever men masturbate? Yourself included. Because if it's potential life that's being discarded of, right? So callously, right? Isn't every man in the history of the planet responsible for committing genocide? I mean, look, I'm not trying to be gross here and gross anyone out, but I'm just saying that when you think about it logically, ejaculation leads to the death of about 100 million sperm cells each time. So Mike Huckabee, throughout his own lifetime, has killed billions of lives. But here's what he's going to retort. He's going to say, no, Mike, you don't understand. Life begins at conception. See, because a ball of cells is life, but one cell is not life. That's the standard. So even though this ball of cells, even though there's no central nervous system, there's no brain, there's no consciousness, even though it's maybe less sentient than a plant, well, I think that takes precedent over the life of a 10-year-old girl. That's what he's going to say. So here's how I would reply. I'd say, look, Mike Huckabee, here's the deal. If you want to entertain these odd hypothetical situations, then what if you just skeeted a future president onto a piece of tissue paper? Isn't that life? Isn't there potential for life with a sperm cell? So where's the outrage for that? I don't get it. So here's the deal. This is what this is about. It's not about protecting life from Mike Huckabee. It's about controlling women. Because if Mike Huckabee really wanted to protect life, then he would be absolutely outraged whenever we send thousands of our troops overseas to die in war. He'd be outraged at the fact that 17,000 Americans will die every year because some Republican governors won't expand the Medicare expansion as part of the Affordable Care Act because they disagree with Obama politically. He would be outraged at the fact that we can't even pass universal background checks so that way people who are insane and have criminal records can't buy guns and kill people. If you're pro-life, well then you would be outraged about war. You'd be outraged about starvation and famine. But you're not. It's about controlling women because for whatever reason, Republicans like doing that and they think that women are less than men. Now, the saddest part to me is not the fact that Mike Huckabee would espouse this type of insane theocratic rhetoric. It's the fact that this doesn't just automatically disqualify him from the presidential race. It's because there's a sizable portion of the country that actually agrees with him. They agree that a 10-year-old rape victim should not be allowed access to an abortion. That's safe. That's legal. This is the definition of insane, and I find it just appalling that there are people who can even entertain this notion. So, in order to save a ball of cells, a fetus, he's gonna sacrifice potentially the life of a 10-year-old girl. I don't get it.